So I am using this book as a guide. It's Chris Lee, Transform Your Life, 10 Principles of Abundance and Prosperity. And what I mean by a guide is I read what he has to say about the principle of letting go, and then I decide how I'm going to talk about it. So if you bought the book and you think you know what I'm going to talk about, surprise, because I didn't use what he said in the book. Because I found something that really spoke to me, and it's a deeper level of letting go around forgiveness. And I know we've worked on forgiveness, and the reason we're going to work on it again and go a little deeper is because if we really want to express and be God-informed, which we believe here that we are, one of the things that will absolutely stop that and you will never, never experience God at the level that you can is if you're holding on to things about what you have done or about what somebody has done to you. Now, somebody out there might be thinking, I have every right to be angry, to be depressed, to be frustrated, to hold on to this. You're absolutely right. If it works for you, hang on to it. But what I'm trying to explain, because trust me, by my body reacting this morning, I can tell there's some things that I still need to forgive. And what I am telling everybody, including myself, is anytime we hang on to those things, perceived hurt, actual hurt, made up story, whatever it is, the more you hang on to it, even if it was a reality and it really, really happened, it's not happening right now. And if you hang on to it, you are never, ever, well, never is a long time. However, those are the words that were used. You will not experience the flow of the divine as you. You will not experience all the good that this universe has to offer you. And every single one of us has something. And we may think, I'm done with that. I got that. And what I know to be true is at a different level of consciousness as we're ever expanding, something could show up again. And it's an opportunity to take a deeper dive. And so what we're going to do is take a deeper dive into forgiveness. And some of this, maybe all of it, will sound and look familiar. But I want you to really think about working through the process as I talk about it. So if you have something that you know that you're hanging on to, and you're willing to even consider, what if I let this go? What magnificent, what magic would happen in my life? So if you want to, feel free to just kind of keep that in mind. So tier 1 is about releasing blame. How many of you, and you don't have to raise your hand if you don't want to, but how many of you might have somebody in your life that you affix blame to for something that's happened in your life, right? I think a lot of us do because it's a human condition. And it's not that some things in our life we may not have at the time any control over what happened. So there are things that happen in our life that can be very horrendous. The difference is to realize right here and right now, in this moment, those things aren't happening to you, except in your mind. And what happens in your mind if you keep blaming, you keep staying in victimhood consciousness, you're not allowing the power and the presence of God to really work through you. And so no matter what the hurt was, no matter what the pain was, no matter if you had the worst parents on the planet, terrible teacher, whatever it was, right here today, none of those people have any control over who you are or how you're experiencing life, except you. And if you can do that, I'm going to let that go. You don't ever have to. So I really want to be clear, because there are some people who may have suffered some sort of abuse. You don't ever have to hang out with a perpetrator in your life, ever. You don't have to go to that person and say, I forgive you. We believe that we're all connected, we're all one, right? So on a energetic scale, or on the energetic level, work through your body and let that go. And sometimes it will show up as physical pain in your body. And to be conscious of, oh, there it is. There it is. What can I do? So when that happens to me, what I normally do is I recognize, oh, okay, that's exactly when it showed up. I can correlate it to this. And then I call people in my life who I know are more brilliant than I am in energy healing and say, you know, this is happening to me. This is what I think's going on. And then let them help me through it. We all need each other. That's why we're here. We're not doing this alone. And so to release blame and take responsibility for your life right here and right now. That does not mean if I was in an abusive relationship. It does not mean that I have to not say that that person did not treat me badly. What I need to do is let go of that person, because that person has no control over of me today unless I let him in my mind, right? So letting go of blame is tier 1. Just take a deep breath. And in that breath, if you can, and you have somebody in your life that you have allowed to kind of get you unbalanced, just breathe in and think to yourself, I bless this person, and name them. And then on the out breath, I accept this person. And again, name them. And let them just go out of your body. They're not doing, the damage that they had done was done. What's happening now is you living in the past. And they still have little coils around your heart or around your body. So just let that go. So let's just breathe in together. So tier 2 is letting go and reframing a story. How many of you have heard the term reframe? And there is an excellent example of this, and every prosperity book that I have read talks about forgiveness. Every single one. It is part of, I don't care if they have 10 principles, they have 4 principles, they have 1 principle. Forgiveness will always be a principle, because holding on to things and becoming a victim doesn't allow that divine flow to come through you at the level that it can. And rather than tell this story, and I think I could, I actually want to read it because I think it's that powerful. And this is in Edwene Gaines' book, The 4 Spiritual Laws of Prosperity. And she talks about letting go and reframing a pretty horrific story in her life. In regard to my own experience with abuse, I had a particularly difficult time dealing with the effect it had on my self-esteem, and for many years, I played victim. I will be eternally grateful for a teacher who one day abruptly called me out on my act. As I once began again to tell my tale of woe, he said, now remember, Edwene is from the South, "Listen, toots, this victim stuff has gone too far. It's really a drag, and you're boring the tears out of all of us." I was shocked. He had not given me the poor baby response that I had come to expect from everybody who had heard my story. As I gasped, he continued, "In order to heal this childhood trauma, what you've got to do is create a new story around it." So he paused and he gave it some thought. And this is the gift he gave her. "Here's your new story," he said. "Try this one on and see if it works for you. You come onto this planet to be a woman of power. Your soul chose this pathway, and because you chose it, you also chose to take an initiation in the misuse of power at a very young age. During this initiation, you learned what it feels like when power is misused, and it is horrible. Therefore, it is now safe for you to be a woman of power in the world because you know now that you would never misuse or abuse this power. And in this process, you have gained the most valuable of all spiritual gifts, the understanding heart. Her world reeled from this and cracked open a bit. It didn't happen overnight, and little by little, one day at a time, she began to embrace this wonderful new story, a saga that completely reordered her personal history. It made her feel powerful rather than helpless, and it allowed her to give up the role of victim. So I want you to think for a moment about a story that you may have, that you've hung on to, that you're almost righteous about. And what would it be like if you reframed that story and thought to yourself, I picked this. I picked this because of who I am supposed to be here on this planet. I picked this because when I can work through it and use it, I will be a powerful individual. One of that divine essence that glows, that knows the truth of who they are. I remember a very similar story when a woman came to talk at Reverend Susie Shadle's church, and she had had the same experience. And she said, and when she said it, everybody went, and she said it was the greatest gift that she had been given, because now what she realized was it made her a very powerful public speaker, and it gave her the opportunity to help others. And so if we believe really that the universe is never against us, that it's always for us, every story we have that creates a victimhood energy, we can reframe. Every single one. And you are the only one that can do that. I can't do that for you. I need to do that for myself sometimes. Because even though I have taken all these classes and I've gone through ministerial school, I still see a practitioner. I still get angry. I still sometimes allow myself to feel like a victim. The difference is now when it happens, I use the tools I've been given. And that's what I'm asking each of you to do. Use the tools that you've been given. And one of the tools is, if you have something and it's been horrific and you want to reframe that story, my biggest gift to you is to call me or another minister here or a practitioner and sit with them and work through it and let us come up with a new story that works for you. Because each one of you sitting here, every single one of you is God in form. Every single one of you has that power and that presence within you that knows the magnificence of who you are. And the thing that might be keeping you from really being the best you can be at anything that you do is you've got that little bit of victimhood consciousness that just shows up every once in a while, and it just goes, well, here I am again. And when it shows up with me, what I usually do is go, wow, I really thought that I was over that. And obviously not, so dig a little deeper, right? That's what we do for each other. We dig a little deeper so that we can truly start to feel that essence of the truth of who we are. And it's not always an easy task. Remember I said this was going to be a little bit deeper, so just allow yourself to think of that. Would it be like if you have one of those stories? What would it look like? What would it feel like if you reframed that story and made that thing, which has been a driving force in your life, what if you made it a positive instead of keeping you playing small? What if you really allowed it to be the essence and the truth of who you are? And so it's just something to ponder, to think about. And like I said, if it's that step that you're ready to take, please contact me. We have 3 ministers here. We have 16, I think, practitioners. So contact one of us and sit down and maybe tell that story one last time. And then reframe it so it works for you. And it becomes that springboard so you can get into that next level of consciousness where you want to be. So let's take another breath, because we're going to go deeper. We're going to go into Tier 3 forgiveness. And Tier 3 forgiveness is about looking at the other person and finding a place where you can really send them love. Regardless of the hurt, regardless of the offense, imagined or real. That you could really just allow yourself to be that presence of love and compassion. And here's why. So there is a story in Greg Bear's book, Real Love. And he talks about a woman who's at a hotel, and she's poolside with all of her friends. It's a 10-year anniversary. Her and her girlfriends get together all the time, and they're sitting beside the pool, and they're eating, and they're laughing, and they're having a fabulous time. She's thinking in her mind, this is the best day ever. She's bought a brand new outfit. She's looking sharp. And then a splash of water hits her shoes. And she's like, it's a little annoying. But she doesn't let it upset her day. This is her best day ever. Nothing can upset her day. And she can't see the person that splashed her in the pool, because there's a lounge chair between her and the pool. So she's thinking it's probably just a small child having fun, thinking they're funny. The next splash, a little bit bigger. Now her shoes are really wet. And she's starting to feel a little bit angry. The next splash, she's soaked head to toe. She stands up. She is going to give this person what for? Does this person not realize how much she spent on this outfit? How her girlfriends and her have been planning this event for an entire year? What is wrong? The person wasn't splashing her. The person was drowning. Now immediately, her energy shifts, doesn't it? From all about me and how angry I am to, oh my goodness, this person is drowning. How can I help them? Why do I tell that story? Because we are either here being love or we are here searching for love. So I want you to think about that person, whoever it is, that has done damage to you, that has kept you in a state of victimhood consciousness. And realize that person is drowning. Right? Each one of us here is God in form. Every single one of us. The difference between you and that person is you're awake. And that person probably has had not a very pleasant life. I don't believe anybody on this planet is born to do harm to another person. We're taught. We're taught by the family that we birth into. We're taught by the neighborhood we're birthed into. And we can take that and we can become that or we can create a life for ourselves. I recently had a couple friends talk about how they had grown up with nothing. And it was just their life. And now their life is different. And they realized, wow, they created that. Individually and collectively, they created that together. Now they had an opportunity to stay stuck, did they not? Because we do. Or we can take what is and transform it into something that we absolutely desire and know to be the truth of who we are. So why that is the deepest dive, that is probably the hardest. And again, you don't have to find this person, seek them out and say, I surround you and bless you in love. And I highly recommend that you do it consciously in a meditation. When you're sitting in prayer, you can do that blessing. I bless you, I accept you, not I release you. Not I release you. I accept you. Because the truth is, with what they've got, they're doing the best they can. And you have no idea, if you do this practice, how energetically they will feel it, and they may shift. And that's not your concern. Forgiveness is about you being the most powerful person you can be on the planet. It's not about that. It's about, okay, that happened. Now how can I use that for my growth, for my consciousness, for me to be a better person, for me to be more loving, for me to be more compassionate? How do I show up? You can't go north and south at the same time. So you can't be a victim and hold that consciousness of God fully at the same time. So it's time to choose who you want to be. How do you want to show up? I choose to show up in my power. And it's taken me a while to get there. It really has. And and I would think, I got that. We're good. And then something will show up and I'll be, oh, okay. Not as much as I thought maybe. But it's an opportunity to dig deeper, right? And so what do? We give up the blame. Correct? Give up the blame. It's not doing you any good. It's not hurting that person. And when you give it up, you start to shift your energy into the wholeness that you truly are. You take that story that you've told over and over and over again, if not to others, at least to yourself, that give you the right to behave a certain way. What I realized was the right that I gave myself is I took on the energy of protector for everybody else. And what I realized is I'm not here to protect people from their path. I'm here to give people tools so they can figure out their path for themselves. Do you know the difference? As protector, I would, wah! I'll protect you. Stand behind me. Right? Not my job. That's a lot of responsibility to think that that's my job. And I got today, that's not my job. My job is to hold the energy of love and compassion and create that play field for people to be. And then they get to choose how they're going to learn their lessons. Right? And so take that story and reframe it. Why are you here? What was it that created that? And how can you reframe that story for your good? And then when you're ready, find a way to truly dig down and forgive the people that have hurt you. Notice I said people because I have a litany of people that I could forgive. In our care circle, we did a thing where we did a meditation, and in the meditation, it said stand in a circle and go around and put your hand on the person's heart. This was, energetically. Have them put their hand on your heart and just, exchange energy and let them go. And we went around the circle, and the meditation person stopped, and at the end of the meditation, I said, I wasn't done in the circle. I had more people. And it's okay. It's just to realize that doesn't serve me, right? It does not serve me to hang on to anger. It does not serve me to hang on to depression. It does not serve me to hang on to self-doubt or victimhood. That is not why I chose to be here. And I don't think it's why any of you chose to be here. You chose to be here to express the divine in form, which means you chose to be here to be powerful individuals in your own right. And so what I'm asking is, are you ready to claim that? And if you are, then this is how you can do that. To literally be that vessel of love. Be that vessel of compassion. Be that vessel of joy. And so I'm actually going to close with a prayer that I'm going to read instead of just doing, because I love this and I don't want to miss any of the words. And I guess one of the steps I missed, and it's the very last step. I don't know if I'm quite there yet, and we'll see. And then the fourth step, thank you for the experience. I know. I get some eye rolls on that one. Really, Gayle? I said, I'm still working on that. Thank you for the experience. Because, again, if the universe is never against us, if the universe is always for us, then that experience is helping us grow into our best yet to be. So thank you for the experience. That final step, that nugget. Put a bow on it. Be complete. So let's pray. You can close your eyes if you choose. And this is a prayer of forgiveness. All that has offended me, I forgive. Within and without, I forgive. Things past, things present, things future, I forgive. I forgive everything and everybody of the past or present that can possibly be forgiven. I positively forgive everyone. They are free, and I am free too. All thoughts are cleared up between us now and forever. I positively forgive myself. Through this forgiveness, I set myself free. I dissolve in my own mind any idea that my own can be withheld from me. No person, thing, or event can keep from me that which the universe has for me now. That which seems to have worked against me in the past now helps and supports me in the present. I bless those persons, things, and events that seem to have hurt me. I bless the failures that seem to have burdened me. I give thanks that a blessing is now coming out of all of it. And now I live and move and have my being as the flow of God's great good. And so it is. So I bless you all. And I allow you to just breathe in that forgiveness and know that as the truth of who you are. The power, the presence, the absolute magnificence of God, which is each and every one of you. And the more we remember that, and the more we remind each other, the better planet we are creating, not only for ourselves we're creating it for future generations. Namaste.